This is so fun. Silently screaming. Oh my gosh. Look at you and all of your awards. Look at you.
knew you were gonna say something about that.
Look at those awards. Oh my goodness.
They're very fancy.
You even have one that's a necklace.
Yes, this is from Venezuela, from when I was there doing some work with the El Sistema movement down there. And they give these to their students as they accomplish different levels in orchestra and in their programming. So I was able to bring one back as a thank you for teaching, stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Kalina, I don't even know where to start, but wait, let's
I
hold on.
know.
I want to just start right at the beginning. When I first saw you at the Hart School of Music and you were coming into audition and you had like such a like you were like a volcano
Yes.
of goodness and I could see all the lava inside and I just didn't know what was going to come out. But and then I sat there and I talked to that, that you have that very kind of stiff, the table with all of the
Hmm.
professors, of which I was one, although I never ever in my life have felt like a professor. I don't know why I've never felt like that, but I was there and I was one.
Yes.
And I turned to them and I was like basically like turning to them thinking like, are you guys sniffing this? Can you guys like see what's cooking here? And I looked at them and I was like, and they kind of looked at me like, and and I was like, please, can I just run out into the hallway right now and just speak to this person and see if we can have a little lesson? And it was as amazing as I thought it would be. And Kalita, you are a fountain of goodness and so many different ways. And
Oh,
thank you for meeting me here today. And I am so glad I was in that room.
me
When when
too.
when was that?
Oh my gosh, that was in 2005.
Nice. Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, let that settle.
That was good. That was a long time ago. And
Hmm.
Kalita, in some ways I want you to well, what are you drinking? Look at that. It's huge.
But it's my water. I drink 3 of these a day to keep
Okay, all
this
right.
glowing skin.
And it does look glowing. You do look
Hmm.
glowing. And okay, so in some ways I feel like, oh, I have to ask Kalita her story. But in some other ways, like your story speaks, I can just see it just
Hmm.
looking at you. And so I kind of want to I want to jump past that.
Okay.
I want to ask you, like, what keeps you up at night? Like, what wakes you up in the night? And what is it in your mind that is troubling you or feeding your passion? Or what are the things that are bubbling within you these days?
Well, besides the desire to have a snack, which is like every night, and I have to fight that so bad.
I know that. I
Uh,
know.
but I like to call it agitation. So what keeps me up and keeps me really agitated and in a space of discomfort is, am I doing enough to amplify and celebrate voices of those who have not been heard yet? Am I moving? Am I taking up too much space? Am I moving aside for others? How can I do that? Um, and I'm always just strategizing like ways that I can maybe still have my impact without always being the focal point of that. Like I know it seems like it's like Kalita and lights and stuff, but I actually am not a fan of that. Like I prefer to just do the work and let it like kind of happen. But somehow it just kind of implodes and I just kind of I go with it. But like in general, I'm uncomfortable with the slowness in making arts accessible. I'm agitated by that because I'm like, it's so easy for us to get lots of guns and stuff. How come we can't get instruments to students? And like, how come we can't make quality programs in more towns more accessible. And I'm not just speaking to cities, but like rural communities, communities that don't have super great internet access. Like, why is that such a concept that's so difficult? There's just so much conversation around it. Why can't we just do it? And
Mhm.
then why is there so much fear of retaliation if you do it? Like, if you bring like 1,000 violins to a community, but it's not part of STEM. I mean, is that a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like, so I think about that. And then I think about food deserts. I think food deserts are a big issue, especially in a lot of cities where families don't have cars. And so they can't get to grocery stores. Um, so I'm like, why can't we do something like pop-up food shares, pop-up farmers markets directly in communities that have limited access to transportation, to getting healthy food for their kids? So those are things that like really agitate me because I never had to worry about that as a kid.
Okay. And so you're concerned about food and you're
Hmm.
concerned about music being accessible. So like food for the soul for people and food for the stomach.
Yes.
And who are the people who need both of those things?
Every single living, breathing human being.
Yes.
And I think we have forgotten about that. We have forgotten that some of the most brilliant people in this world absolutely had arts as a part of their life.
Mhm.
And we're chopping it at the legs. And I don't understand why. I will never understand that. So I think every person, but especially our students in communities where it's just not championed enough because there's not enough people there to champion for it.
Mhm. Why is
Right.
it why is it low on the importance list? Why is music, do you feel like it's too low or what's your opinion?
Well, I do. I mean, so I feel like it's too low in terms of the accessibility of learning how to create it. But in another sense, I feel like it's widely accessible on social media like TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, all those places. Um, but like what you and I and so many others had to go through to get to where we are, it's just different now. Like there's so many different access points, which is great. But how do we maintain the standards? How do we keep standards? How do we teach our students and the young people coming up that they should have standards and they should hold others accountable as well? So that's, I mean, it's the education piece for me.
Mhm. What, Kalita, what does music do for you?
It depends on what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
So, um, music is very healing for me. I will say that. And I was actually just having this conversation Sunday, which is Mother's Day, which is a really tough day for me since my mom passed almost 8 years ago in July. And I was talking to her about how, I was playing music for my mom like in those last few days. And like the miracle of music activating some brain activity or some sort of reaction was incredible. Like I'll never forget those moments. And so I feel like if everyone doesn't have a piece of that and that comfort, like I had comfort knowing somewhere she was hearing me.
Mhm.
And so it's a healing mechanism. It's healing, it's fun, it creates relationships, it builds relationships, and it's universal, right? Like you don't have to move a certain way, you don't have to look a certain way. You can be whoever, whatever, however you want. You can show up however you want to. And it's not going to discriminate. It's not going to treat you any different. It's still going to be accessible and be deeply connected. That's the one gift I feel like I have that no one can take away,
Mhm.
having that skill.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, this is great. Now, can I ask you about Black Lives Matter and how that intersects with music or how it intersects with your life or your career? Or
Mhm.
I'd like to listen to you tell me whatever you want to tell me about it or how it relates to your life or anything.
Right. Thank you for that. That's a very heavy topic. I think for me, because I've existed in so many spaces where I've been the one or one of two or one of three, it's always this glaring, obvious thing that I feel like I have to go a million times harder than anyone else in the space. And like it's literally on autopilot. Like I don't even know how I would walk that back as a Black woman. And I know that there's a lot of assumptions surrounding that idea that Black women are aggressive, they're angry. Well, yes, I am a little bit, you know, and I think it's important to amplify the fact that Black lives do matter because they do. And we do have to keep talking about that because our history is being replayed before our eyes. Like we're watching it happen. Like now everyone's seeing it. It's on television, it's in newspapers, it's in every Twitter feed. And and we're not changing enough. We're not radically agitating the space enough. We're not speaking out about biases and harmful behaviors. And there's no accountability for that stuff. And I think that's really the crux of the problem is the lack of accountability. It's just kind of like, oh, oops, I knocked that table over and it fell on someone. Oh, and someone passed. Oh, okay. And then you want to be done with it. And that's just not the way it goes. And I think, you know, when I think about how Black lives intersects with me and my career, I've just anything I've done, I've always made it a point to think about who's coming behind me and how can I make sure that there's a space for them, that there's a spot at the table for them, or can I bring them along to build a table alongside me? And then we have our own table. Because frankly, I'm tired of pushing chairs out of the way. I'm tired of asking people to move over. Like, I'm like, well, shoot, I'll just build a table. Okay. You know, like I'll just build it. I could probably build a car at this point. You know what I mean? So, so I think the intersection is that, you know, I live and breathe music and I live and breathe arts. And um, I'm tired of feeling like I'm in the way sometimes. So I tell myself that I'm not, that I'm the solution, that I bring something different, something colorful, something radical. And radical, PSA, does not have to be bad, friends. The word radical, people hear radical and they're like, oh my God, not radical. It's like, no, radical is innovative, it's imaginative, it's a way to just rethink the whole model, throw the whole thing out, throw all of it. Let's start over. Let's start over at zero, please.
You know, Kalita, I could never imagine a room not being filled with you that you enter, but I could at the same time I could never imagine wanting less of it being filled by that. So
Mhm.
I never could ever want you to want to take up less space because every time you enter a room, it makes everyone else feel that they can fill the room as well. It encourages other people. And so I think that's one of so many amazing things about you. And one of the things that, like I mentioned, that struck me when I first saw you, that first moment. And Kalita, can I ask you, what can I do about classical music and Black Lives Matter? What can you help me? Can you help me in any way? How can I help? What can I do, or what should I do?
Well, I think I think you're already doing it because you're bringing back students that have come through your studio. I mean, it's no secret that you did a whole miracle on my left hand, okay? And I'm saying it publicly, a whole miracle, y'all. I came in a mess, I walked out on water, okay? I promise you. And that was Anthea. That was Anthea. Um, but and also just making space to have conversations about classical artists and classical composers that look like me. You know, we like I didn't get any of that in my music history classes. They're not, it's not even in the books, you know? And so I think the fact that you kind of like you plant these seeds and you water them and then you're like, okay, go. And you just allow that to happen. That's a huge part of it because now I have the opportunity to impact so many students around the world because Inside Music Academy is around the world. It's around the globe. Like I had kids that got up at 4 o'clock in the morning for Inside
Oh,
last year, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
so awesome. That was so amazing. I was like, it's 4 a.m. and you're here?
yeah.
Okay.
They're ready to go. Ready to go.
Yeah. So I think as much celebration of Black and Brown composers, especially living ones, especially the ones that have already passed on, because they are the ones that made it possible for me to have this conversation with you, right? Like, you know, I think of the Florence Prices, I think of Scott Joplin, I think of all of these people who literally laid their lives down and wrote music, a lot of them in secret, you know, and no one knew. And they did that so that I could have this opportunity to celebrate their work and play their music and talk about it to the younger generation. So the it's using your expertise that you already have and taking it to another level of amplification and celebration and awareness in your sphere of influence, because you have a massive sphere of influence. And yes, it's true.
I don't have the awards though. Look,
Okay.
I just have piles of music. I don't know. I need to get,
You got to get your awards up. You
I
have
know I
them.
do.
You
I
do.
do. I don't know. I
I
don't
know
know.
you do.
I have some. I have some, but they don't look nearly as good as yours. So impressive. Kalita,
Yes.
you know that nothing makes me happier than seeing you.
Oh,
And we haven't seen each other in person in probably, I don't even know, 11 years, but it feels like yesterday.
I
Feels like
know.
that. It's
I
so nice.
know. I love it. I
I love it.
love it.
Thank you for taking time out of your very incredible life to talk to us. And I can't wait to see you soon at Inside Music Academy and on Facebook and everywhere else.
Absolutely. Thank you for having
Okay.
me. And I'll see
Love you,
everyone at
Kalita.
IMA.
Love
Mwah. Love
you.
you.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.